Welcome to Bar Z. My name's Stan and we are at week update number 20. The big 2-0, we're over a hump. And I'd like to start this week's update by saying again, Bar Z is hiring. And I have been burning through the applicants and still haven't found anybody. But we are still hiring. And that's all I'm going to say about that, as Forrest Gump would say. And I've ignored my board for an awfully long time. I've got a few things that I'm looking for, and if you've got anything in this region or in this genre for sale or trade, I am looking for a 5/16 letter D geometric head. Most of them I think have a 1-inch shank. I really don't care what shank it has, but I am looking for a 5/16 D geometric head. So I am looking for that. That's actually for a job. And I am also looking for a 5C 3-jaw chuck to go in my spendex, or it might be handy if I'm set up for collets on the lathe, just to throw that little tiny 3-jaw in there. But just the little 3 or 4-inch 3-jaw might be handy. So those are things I'm looking for. If you've got any for sale or trade, let me know. Next up, we got a final on the Warner carts with the lights. Our light fixtures came in and we got them installed. There was a few questions that came up. Some guys said, well, how are you going to pass the SO cord through the tubing without it getting cut? I took a photograph of a little plastic snap-in bushing. Let's look at that. And back. So that's how we're passing the cord from fixture to fixture. Next up, I shot a little bit of video with them all assembled so you can see the finished product, and they're actually getting delivered tomorrow. So let's go look at the final. And here's your final on these light carts. Those are the fixtures installed. And you can see I built a bracket there for the light switch, and the wire just appears out of the tube into the side of the switch. And you can probably see in between there's a nipple, there's a chase nipple going through there. So that's, and then I got a strain relief down here at the bottom of the box. So, and then they've got their cord and their cord hanger. So these things are pretty much at a close. They're due to get delivered tomorrow. But I just thought I'd show you a quick one with them, with the fixtures in the carts. And I'll show you the fit on the back side. I remember how I said the fixture actually gets pinched in between. So there's zero clearance here. And there's a flange around the perimeter of the light fixture. Where they get bolted in with, they get drilled and bolted in with nutserts, very similar to a pop rivet. It's a threaded insert that goes in and then squeezes in the hole, and then you just run bolts in there. And these are the bolts with the self-locking integral washer. They've got a serration on the back that bites in, so you don't have to use any other locking mechanisms. So these things are getting rolled around. I don't want them rattling apart when they're bumping them over stuff, and so I use self-locking hardware on those. Alright. And then the wheels, of course, are bolted on. Use lock washers on those, so those don't rattle apart. And I put a dab of red Loctite on the final on these, on the threads, just to keep them from rattling apart. So I think we've got a pretty secure cart. They can get these apart. They could probably put a chain wrench or a pipe wrench on this and just hit that with an impact, and that sucker will come out. Okay, but that's what our light carts look like. And we're back. Next up, Anchor Lube. I got another shipment of Anchor Lube, and the people over there have been really, the folks over at Anchor Chemical have been really nice to me. And they sent me a new size, and this is just kind of an open top can, And this is actually pretty handy. I mean, with it open like this, you can keep it in your toolbox or whatever. And if you're doing hand drilling or hole sawing or whatever, just kind of dip your drill in there and go. So it's actually, this is actually really handy for a toolbox size. But and I'll remind everyone that they are offering a substantial discount if you call into them and mention either Bar Z or the YouTube metalworking community. They are offering pretty good pricing. Next up, some of you remember that I just recently purchased a Dial-Arc, and this was a monster machine. It was 800 pounds at least. It was just this big, huge, heavy, water-cooled 300 amp machine, and I got it where I was pretty happy with the way it welded. Noisy, absolutely. It didn't have a lot of little features that I would have liked to have, and I stuck it on Craigslist and I sold it. So Dial-Arc was gone, and I was instantly had seller's remorse. I was watching that thing leave the driveway in the back of someone else's pickup truck, and I had instant seller's remorse. Well, I fished around on Craigslist, and I finally found a sinker wave, a Miller sinker wave 250 air cooled, and for a good price. This was this came from a retired Disney employee. He worked for Imagineering. Here's my new sinker wave. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so some of you may know that I sold my Dial-Arc, that empty slot right there next to the Miller-Matic. My Dial-Arc used to be there, and I had seller's remorse instantly when I saw it going out of the driveway. So then this followed me home. Miller sinker wave 250, a little bit newer machine, and it's got a decent set of controls on it. And I actually welded with it over at the gentleman's house, and real happy with the way it welds. Welds very, very differently from the Dial-Arc. So a real nice machine, and real quiet, and much more compact. That's the size of it there. Not too huge. It's got some seriously undersized wheels, but we're going to fix that. And but that Dial-Arc was just a pig. That was a 300 amp machine. I have stepped down to a 250, so I've gone from a 300 water cooled to a 250 air cooled. But the stuff I weld isn't that big. So that's a new addition to Bar Z right there. Well, our first project with the new sinker wave is to get it off of these horribly little tiny casters this guy welded to the bottom. Those are just like Home Depot specials. That's maybe, I don't know, 1.25 or 1.5 wheel. That one's already buckling under and the wheel's cracked, and I'm going to get it up on a chain hoist. Every Miller in the world's got a beautiful little hanger, perfectly balanced. So we're going to get it on a chain hoist, get it up in the air, get those wheels ground off of there. And out back it's going to be, the axle's going to be here, like the other Millers, with there's a piece of cold roll going all the way through, and then you know, just a cart type wheel out here on the side, fixed with a little shelf out back, cantilevered over out back, just big enough to set a bottle on, and then some casters up front, some rotating casters up front, but much larger. But most Millers have a nice channel base that you can build off of. Okay, so that's the first project for the Synchro. Okay, so I went down to the industrial supply, and they actually had the Marathon. This is the brand I've been using, the Marathon Flat Freeze, but I'm going to show you what's a little disheartening. Right there, Marathon is sold out. I wouldn't have anything else on my wheelbarrows. I get the Marathon Flat Freeze for my wheelbarrows and my hand trucks, but and they used to all be made in the U.S. And I've had bad experiences with rubber products that come from China, that the rubber just rots off. It's something in their compound or something in their mixes. They don't mix the right stuff in. And I just discovered this when I got home. But these are a 10-inch wheel, and these are what's going to go on the back of the TIG. I got the TIG up on a chain hoist right now, and I'm going to raise it up and cut those little pipsqueak wheels off of there. And these guys are going to just kind of go on there in the back, and then I'm going to get some nice big casters, swiveling casters up front, and I'm going to cantilever a little deck out of the back so I can drop a bottle there and keep a bottle with it. But I used to have real good things to say about Marathon, but I don't know how this rubber is going to hold up. Check back with me in a year or two. My American-made Marathons, I've been on my wheelbarrows and my hand trucks for about 11 years, and no signs of aging. They're a nice foam-filled tire, got just a little bit of cushion to them. It feels like a pneumatic tire, but you'd never have to put air in it. So we'll see how these hold up on the TIG. Check back with me in a couple of years, and I'll tell you how the Chinese rubber compound is. All right, let's move ahead on this. File that under worst idea ever. How they look when complete. That's two pieces of 10-gauge channel spanned across the lower channel of the miller, and gave me a good attachment point and keeps those channels from trying to roll in on me. And those are a 350-pound urethane wheel ball bearing, ball swivels and ball bearings in the wheels. So that's a good sized caster for the front. All right, but that's the front. Next up is the back. All righty. So there you have it. Sinker wave down on its wheels. I still need to make the little stand out the back to hold the bottle, but it can roll around the shop now with ease. You know, that rolls around really good, and I'm plenty happy with that. So, all right, and we're back. And I've welded with it. It welds steel beautifully. I'm getting better at aluminum. it's enabling me to be a better aluminum welder. But I've had some successful welds with aluminum now. Next up, we're going to visit a job site down in the city of Brea, and this is J&C Manufacturing. These guys make armor plating for the M1 Abrams tank, and I just shot a little bit of video. They've got a very large, very impressive Mitsubishi laser table, CNC laser table. So, and they're not cutting anything too big here. I think they're just cutting some 1/4 inch. But here, let's take a peek at that Mitsubishi. The capacity of that machine, are you ready for this? 3-inch thick, and with a laser. They cut a lot of AR plate, and if you guys are familiar with that, that is some pretty tough material. Okay, and then over at J&C, we were installing. They're opening a finishing department, and we had to reinforce the hell out of the roofs. So here's a few stills of a roof curb we had to build. I didn't shoot any from below the roof line. We had just as much wood going in below the roof line as we did above the roof line. But I took some snapshots of the roof curb going in. And we're back, and yeah, there was some substantial reinforcement to that building to get it to carry the weight of that air handler, and they were all tied together with some 5/8 by 12-inch lags that sandwiched everything together and sucked it all together, and it just sucked the roof sheeting right in between. Actually, we had trouble getting the lag bolts in, and this is how we fixed that. Take a look at this. First, we're going to try it without. And it just kind of stalls there, so we're going to try it with. Woo!
Hot, hot, hot.
Yep. back. So, anchor lube, not just for metal anymore, Mom. Okay, next up, we're going to visit another job site. The Metro Rail here in Los Angeles is extending the Blue Line. The Blue Line right now, I think it stops, right around Arcadia, right around Santa Anita Racetrack. It stops right there. And they're continuing it through to Monrovia and then on to Glendora following the 210 freeway. And we are working at the Monrovia maintenance facility where they maintain the trains, and they bought a spray booth for painting trains. So yeah, this is just a little tiny booth. Let's go have a peek at that. Okay, so here we are at another Barzy job site. And this is actually a rather large one. This is to my left is a spray booth. I'll get you to take a look down the side of the booth. There's a couple of the boys working down at that end, and they're working on some pipe racks. There's a pipe rack going in there. Outside the wall to my left is going to be some 4 very large heaters. So they're running racks of pipe out. You can see they got a couple in there going through that bridge, down the wall and out through their wall there. So the heater's on the outside. So they've got a pipe rack heading into a control cabinet there, and they're doing a double stack rack. They're doing another rack of pipes out of the back side to go up to the top of the spray booth. And I'll walk you around and show you the inside of the booth. And there's your spray booth. And this is going in the Metro Blue Line, coming out of Pasadena, going all the way to Glendora. But this booth is being built over a rail track. That's the end of the track right there. Boom, done. They bring them in, they nose them in, paint them, and then back them out. But downdraft spray booth, the whole ceiling's all filters. There'll be filters in all those. And exhaust filters in the lower walls there. And you already saw the ducts on the outside going up and out. But that's where I've been, guys. Hadn't had a whole lot of time to make video. I just thought I'd shoot you around here and show you around here a little bit. Alrighty? Alright, I'm back, and so as you can tell, this is where my time has been spent, is over at the Metro job. That's a pretty substantial project, and we're about 3 weeks from completion on that now. Next up, I've had a lot of people ask me how I grind my squares on the 90. So I've got a little bit of video here just showing the fixture block that I use to attach the squares to, and how I bring them to 90, and how I do it on the surface grinder. Here, we'll go take a peek at that and how I grind both surfaces. I shipped out a piece of a angle square kit to a gentleman by the name of Joshua. I'm not going to use his last name, but he already had some of my squares and he wanted a box, and he thought it'd be neat to be able to hold his scale in there with it. And after he got the box all filled, he emailed me some pictures back, and so let's take a look at those. It's kind of neat having a scale in there with it. And we're back. And last up, I've been goofing off with the GoPro. First up is Huntington Memorial Hospital. We thought we'd try it and stick it in the water wash and see what we can see up in the upper washer. So this is dumb. Let's go look at it. Interesting. If you ever wondered what a washer looked like on the inside, no one's ever seen it. Stuck the GoPro in there. Now we know what the spray bar looks like when it takes off. Next up, I made a little bracket for the GoPro. The GoPros are very, very tiny. And I made a bracket that goes inside my welding hood, and the lens is right up against the lens of the GoPro is right up against the lens of the welding hood. And it was pretty much covering my right eye. So I'm trying to weld with just one eye, and I thought maybe it would show up better, but I tried it. Let's go look at it. Kids, don't try this at home. I don't think I can weld with a camera over my right eye. This isn't working. Now you know what? We can take that and scratch that off the list. Let's not do that again. That was dumb. So we still got to find a better way to video welding. And I look forward to trying that with the new sinker wave. All right. That's the end of this week's update, and I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I appreciate all my new subscribers. I have broken 3,000 subscribers. which I never dreamed would be possible, many people would be interested in what I do. But I thank you all for tuning in, and I thank you all for your subs and your comments. Your comments are great. I get some thumbs down. Everyone's got haters. I don't care. But I really appreciate all you guys tuning in. Have a good remainder of your weekend, and enjoy your week. Thanks for watching.